Greetings. Today I'll talk about the beginning of the plot to assassinate or kidnap General George Washington. I also relate some of the other events that occurred that week. To read the full versions, purchase and read the book, The American Revolution, 1776. It's part of the United States History series. You can enjoy reading the preceding book, 1775, which is available on the website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. Just check on the United States History Series on the lower left-hand side of the home page. I have finished 1776, and it is also available on the website. Thomas Hickey joins a conspiracy to kill George Washington. In early June 1776, Thomas Hickey joins the company to kill Washington. General George Washington had arrived at New York on April the 13th, 1776, to take charge of the defenses of New York against the expected British invasion of the city. Washington occupied a mansion called Richmond Hill in Manhattan to use as his headquarters. The approximately 150-man Commander-in-Chief's Guard made camp on the 26-acre estate. 3 taverns in the vicinity served as gathering places for these soldiers. They were Lowry's Tavern, the Highlander, and Corby's Tavern. Washington had learned of an earlier plot hatched by British Royal Governor William Tryon, who was holed up on the HMS Halifax in New York Harbor. And plot also involved Mayor David Matthews to recruit regiments to resist rebel forces in the New York area. The plot went much deeper than that, though details are sketchy. Apparently, the larger plot involved recruiting members of the Commander-in-Chief's Guard to kidnap or kill General George Washington, Israel Putnam, and other senior members of Washington's staff on the eve of the British invasion. They were also to spike cannons and blow up ammunition supplies. The plot included the activation of loyalist forces and blowing up bridges and other strategic structures. Tryon had also employed an engraver to print counterfeit continental banknotes to aid in disrupting the rebel effort. Matthews had recruited a local gunsmith, Gilbert Forbes, to supply guns to Tryon's efforts and supply intelligence on rebel troop movements. If successful, the plot would probably have dealt a fatal blow to the Patriot cause. Several members of the Commander-in-Chief's Guard met sometime in early June in Corby's Tavern. It was here that a key part of Governor Tryon's plot began to take shape. 5 members of the Guard, William Green, Thomas Hickey, James Johnson, Matthew Lynch, and John Barnes gathered to share a drink or two. Gilbert Forbes also attended the meeting at the tavern. Details are murky. However, it is apparent that Forbes recruited the members of Washington's Guard to either kill or kidnap Washington, paying them 10 shillings apiece for their efforts. He also recruited them to pass some counterfeit money. Thomas Hickey, we don't know a whole lot about him. We know he died on June the 28th, 1776. Don't know when he was born. Know little about him other than he was an Irishman that had come to the colonies as part of the force attached to Major General William Johnson's command during the French and Indian War. Hickey deserted from the British Army. When hostilities erupted between Britain and the colonies, Hickey joined the Patriot cause. He resided in Wethersfield, Connecticut, and had enlisted in Knowlton's Rangers. The commander of that unit had selected Hickey to serve on the Commander-in-Chief's Guard. Washington had met and liked Hickey and considered one of his favorites. At some point, he became disillusioned with the Patriot cause and began exploring ways in which he might undermine it. Other events from that week include General John Sullivan arrived at the American positions along the St. Lawrence River and Riccolo Rivers on June the 1st. He had about 6,000 men, bringing the total number of the American forces up to about 6,082 soldiers. The same day, British General John Burgoyne landed Quebec with 1,000 soldiers, supplies, and an ample supply of monies to conduct a campaign to drive the Americans out of Canada. Like many of the men under his command, American Major General John Thomas died of smallpox near Sorel in Quebec, Canada, on June the 6th. Fearing an impending British invasion, the Continental Congress voted to raise 13,000 additional troops to defend the city on June the 3rd. On June 3rd, The Continental Congress resolved to establish a flying camp battalion. This battalion was to consist of 10,000 men drawn from Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. Commodore Parker's naval squadron arrived off Charleston, South Carolina coast and began preparing to invade on June the 4th. John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Edward Rutledge, James Wilson, and Robert Livingston received appointment on the Committee of Spies from Congress to study methods of dealing people charged with supplying intelligence or supplies to the British on June the 5th. General George Washington. I also relate some of the other events that occurred on June the 4th. To read the full version of the Continental Congress wrote a letter to the American Convention in Maryland, which was part of the United States on June the 21st. You can enjoy the main body of the letter. Hancock expresses his fear that the British were slaving the colonists. He goes into report that the British have lined the colonists check on the United States history series on the lower left-hand side to send an army of foreigners to subdue them. After his return to Virginia, George Rogers Clark spent some time reflecting upon the plight of the settlers in Kentucky. Conversation with various Virginians in early June 1776, and Henderson's plans gradually shaped his opinion. He had concluded that Kentucky would be better off as part of Virginia, so he returned to Harrisburg to take charge of the defense of New York against the expected British invasion of the city. I would encourage you to visit and subscribe to Monty Hill in Manhattan for more great content. If you like my videos, please hit the like button. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will show it to other people, allowing me to grow the channel. I also invite you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, a slew of content, and links to where you can buy my books. While visiting the website, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications of when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. If you like what I'm doing, please purchase a book as it helps fund my work. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you for listening.